This is like the millionth time I've had to do this screencast, so I hope I get it right. Okay, so at the beginning, like in lab, I was gonna do the MVC, like, or not MVC, the CRUD application, but they told me that that wasn't what you asked for this time. That you wanted like a login using sessions, and that they were just supposed to pass the data through the render template. So that kind of made sense because we talked about that, but I wasn't sure. But I don't remember things like that. I have the memory of a goldfish, so I just kind of like went ahead and did it just to be safe. If that's what you said to do, and if not, everybody else is doing this, so safety in numbers, I guess. But okay, so here's the login, and you can log in with email and password. So you log in, and it'll take you to the user page, and it'll display their name, their email, the password, the image. If you go back to the root while you're still logged in, it'll go ahead and redirect you to your profile page, and then if you click log out, it'll take you back here. I've got some errors, so if you don't put anything, it'll tell you to enter your email and password, or if you put like a wrong combination in there, it'll tell you that the email or password is incorrect. Also, if you go to slash my account slash 3 or whatever, you'll get an error message which will say you must be logged in to do that type of thing. So let's go over to my code. Alright, so we have the app.route, and this is how I do that redirect function. Once you get to the index, it's going to go ahead and load the lab8.index, or lab8/index.html. So that's like my index. And then if there's a session, so it's going to check to see if there's a session at all. And if there is, it's going to check to see if there's an authorized key of that session. And if there is, if that's true, it's going to redirect to the account. Otherwise, if the authorized is false, it's going to go ahead and render the index.html. Alright, so here's our login route. So it'll go to /login once you click the login button. And if the method is post, it'll return this. It'll do result is equal to login user, which does all my fancy login connection stuff. I made a function for that. That way I only have to type it once. So, and then if the result success is true, it's going to go ahead and set the session and set the current ID, and then it's going to redirect to the profile page. Otherwise, it's going to give you an error, which is going to be dependent on whether or not it was their username was incorrect, or if there wasn't an email specified or something like that. We'll go over that a little bit. Otherwise, if the method is get or something weird, it's going to give this fatal generic error. So anyhow, once we get redirected to my account, this is my account route, and it's going to have a parameter of UID and if session. So again, it's checking to see if a session exists, and if there's a key of authorized of that session. I set the data to get user by ID, and then we have the current ID. So it's getting the user. So this is now officially the user, and then we're rendering the template and passing data through. Otherwise, we've got these errors. We're going to redirect them to some errors, which is basically you must be logged in to do that. Here's our error handling. So we have app.route login error, and then we have a code, and that's how I did my error. So, and then I basically just go in, and if the code is any one of these, it does that. Otherwise, I have this generic something broke, please try again message. Then I go ahead and I return the index HTML. And then we finally have the logout route, which goes ahead and just clears the session and redirects back to the home page, the root. So let's go down. These are my global functions. And for everything, we basically had to create a connection and a cursor. So I just made functions for that because these are like pain in the butt to type in. So I just created two functions for that. I have a new connection and new cursor, which requires a connection attribute. I have a function to hash my passwords. So this is, my hash password requires password, returns a password. This is my get user by ID, which it establishes a new connection, new cursor. Um, this had to be like this, which is really weird, and I know it looks really weird. But this had to be like this because otherwise, when I'm just passing like a single one, this was giving me an error for incorrect syntax because it had to be it starts with a T. I forget what those are called. It starts with a T though. You know what it is. But anyhow, it had to be one of those T thingies. So, and then once I did this, it worked. So, anyhow, then we execute the statement, and I close the connection after I get the results, and then I go ahead and parse the data, put it into a dig object, and down here, I'm basically checking for the avatar because if it's like null, I don't want to like put that as a default in their thing, but I go ahead and I load this default user icon, and then else I just go ahead and use this whatever they have in their database, and then that becomes their avatar. And then I go ahead and return the user. So this is my login function. This is what logs the user in. So I go ahead and I create my data object. And if the email and password, so basically, if they've put in something, like, it's going to go ahead. And if they don't put in anything, it's going to give us that 1001 error, like you must enter your username and password. Here, I create the new connection, and then I create, the cursor for it. And then I go ahead and set up my statement. I hash the password. I execute the statement. And then we get the result. And then we close the connection and basically say if we have a result, the success was true. And here's our ID. Else we have, um, success is equal to false, and this is our incorrect username or your email or password error. And that's pretty much it. So, all right, thank you for watching. Bye bye.